I'm Larry Curtis, campaign manager for Gary Keith Sr., along with Ed Miller, a part-time state employee working for State Senator Michael Brady, and also radio host of Stand Up Strong. Carl Pride, media center director of Brockton Cable Access, and Susanna Sudborough, a reporter with the Enterprise. Together, our group has worked hard to bring to you, the voters of the City of Brockton, this candidates forum. Some individuals have expressed both Ed's and my involvement in the interview process due to political association with some of the candidates for office. Together, we are here to ensure you that a balanced and transparent process has taken place during the interviews conducted on October 5th, 6th, and 7th. All candidates have had the right of not being interviewed by any one of us if they believed a conflict existed. I am happy to report that all scheduled interviews were conducted without any candidates' objections. This forum would not have taken place without the collaborative efforts of our volunteers, the Enterprise, Brockton Cable Access, and our candidates. Remember to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 2nd. It's an important election for the City of Brockton. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Candidates Forum 2021. I'm your host, Ed Miller, and with me is Mayor Robert Sullivan, who is running for re-election. Mayor Sullivan, how are you doing today?
Good to see you, Ed. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and about the 2 years that you have been mayor, and tell us why you'd be a good choice for re-election.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you again for having me on. So my name is Bob Sullivan, born and raised here in the city of Brockton. I grew up in Ward 2. Mm-hmm. My wife, Maria, and I live in Ward 1. Maria Louise Sullivan, she was a Brocktonian as well. I graduated from Brockton High in 88. Mm-hmm. She got out in 89. And, Brockton's home. I'm fortunate to have my parents still alive here, still living in the house that I grew up on Wellington Street, and my in-laws are living down in Ward 4. So Brockton is a special place, and I served 14 years as a councilor at large, serving the whole entire city. Out of those 14 years, Ed, 5 of those I served as the council president. So I served as the acting mayor at times when the mayor was outside of the Commonwealth. But I did run for mayor. We had a very great election 2 years ago, and I was fortunate to prevail. And I'm very thankful. I'm humbled, quite honestly, and it's a difficult job. But when you throw a worldwide pandemic into the mix, it's been really challenging. But what I've always done is I've tried to get people to work in collaboration. Right? We have to work together. I keep saying this: we're better together. Brockton is a special place. The biggest asset of the people in Brockton. So, being the mayor is an important job. Working to bring private and public communities together to fight a worldwide pandemic is something that has been daunting, but we've done it exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. People say, Bob, why are you running again? You should just call it a day. It's been really grueling, and the mission needs to continue. Mm-hmm. We are creating a building block for success in Brockton, and my title is mayor, right? That's an honor and a privilege, but I'm just Bob from Brockton. And I know how wonderful Brockton is, but I know we can even do better, and we will do better. So I'm running again, and I'm on the ballot for November 2nd. And again, I'm interested to talk to you today about different things that have been done, but I hope people will consider me. I'll be number 1 on the ballot, but I'm always number 1 for Brockton as well.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the recommendations that you have moving forward after the election?
Well, the number one thing is the Delta variant, and the breakthrough cases are real. So COVID is not gone. Mm-hmm. As I sit here now, we have lost 445 residents to the deadly virus, 16,000 cases. So I was able to, again, get community partners together, right? Get Brockton Neighborhood Health Center and Brockton Hospital Signature, Good Samaritan Hospital, and the VA Hospital working together with Father Bill's and High Point. Did 3 times a week calls with those, with the banking institutions, with the clergy. I continue to speak to the clergy and pastors twice a week. Mm-hmm. My vision right now is to continue to work with the medical clinicians. I think one of the best things I did was to hire Dr. Rick Herman, MD, medical consultant. He used to be the chief of ER at Brockton and Good Sam. And Dr. Eno Montes here, who heads up our Board of Health, and Linda Cahill, who heads up our school nurses. We need to continue to work together, Ed, to have a healthy, safe community. But we also have to multitask, and as a mayor, I've done that. I did not pause construction in the city of Brockton. A lot of mayors throughout Massachusetts did. They just halted it. I said, we can't. That truck is running down the street. We need to continue to do it. And I want to thank previous mayors. The late Mayor Bill Carpenter really had some really wonderful things in place, and then Mayor Rodriguez came in. But you know, what I'm saying right now is Brockton needs to have economic, thriving community, helps our tax base. So take care of the businesses that are here, which I've done. I've given some business assistance through the BRA, the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, but also attract new businesses. And one thing I'm really proud is Hollywood, the West Coast, sees Brockton on the map. So we had an AMC series filming here, right? We had Netflix. We have 2 more biotech, one on Whitney Houston and one on the Boston Strangler, going to be filming in Brockton. Brings money, but it brings people, and people going to the restaurants and going to the stores and getting gas. So, you know, we need to continue to multitask, and that's why I'm running for mayor. I love this city, but I also want everybody in this city, every Brockton resident, every Brockton business to have a voice, and we need to continue that effort, Ed.
Okay. Well, thank you. And one of the biggest issues that we've been having, and I've talked about it on my show, is small business owners are having problems navigating themselves through City Hall. I think years and years ago, probably both of us were in shorts, but they had someone who would help people go through and go through all the departments. And we kind of lost that again decades ago. But they expressed their frustration on, you know, the length of time and trying to deal with the departments and getting the permits that they need. One construction person told me that if it takes days somewhere else to get the permit, it takes weeks here. And if it takes weeks, it takes months here, which slows them down, which means they're not working and they don't have all the jobs. What are some of the ideas that you have to make the process quicker and more attractive to outside business?
First of all, what I have done as mayor, I've been multitasking, as I said. And what I said when I took the oath of office January 6, 2020, before pandemic, before COVID-19, was we need to be much more business friendly, right? We need to be attracting businesses to Brockton. So utilizing best practices with technology, online permitting, right? Transparency, welcoming business here, making sure that businesses feel that they have a voice, but they can also streamline the process, one-stop shopping. So, you know, it's great to say we want businesses here, which we do. We want to bring new ones, but we want to take care of the businesses that are here already yet. So one thing I've done is I fostered a really good working relationship with the BRA. I created an initiative called Open for Brockton, Open for Business. Open for Business. Adelsa Mendez, Attorney Mendez, works for the BRA. She's been the business liaison that I've been working with. We've done these pop-up, one we did at the Perfect Place, one we just did at the Westgate Mall in Luanda. Talking to businesses saying, hey, this is what we need to do, how do we get there? The Brockton app is something that my office just generated. The Brockton app, 2,000 businesses in Brockton can do free marketing with the Brockton app. It's Brockton MA City of Champions app. You download it with Apple or Android. But at the end of the day, what I really feel right now is that we're all in this together, right? So if you're a business and you feel like, you know, somebody didn't treat you well or you need assistance, call the office. It's easy, the mayor's office, 508-580-7123. I have dedicated people in my office that are helping all the time, constituent services director, engagement, public relations, public policy. So, you know, I want more businesses to flourish in Brockton, right? The Brockton Beer Company is a good example. I've been a cheerleader for that, not because it would be the first minority-owned brew pub in the Commonwealth, but because it's going to be a catalyst for downtown. And if you think back about 12 years ago when I was a city councilor, I was the one that drafted an ordinance. It was Chapter 40R Smart Growth Zoning. So I want businesses to come here, but I also want to take care of the ones that are here. And the only way we can do that right now is to have open conversation, educate and inform. I do a newsletter every week, internal, and I do one quarterly, external. And I'm really excited because we do it in multiple languages, right? It's English, Spanish, Cape Verdean Creole, Haitian Creole. And, you know, I've met with so many businesses and also a lot of developers. Because Brockton's on the map right now, transit oriented, right? 35 minutes to get into South Station, Ed. Montello, downtown, Campello. So a lot of housing's being developed right now, which is good for our tax base, but we need amenities. And so one thing I did is I created an internship program with Harvard Kennedy School and MIT. They first came here, a bunch of students came here during COVID, Ed, to do a safe street analysis, right? It was awesome. We need to make sure we minimize pedestrian accidents and fatalities in Brockton. That's a fact. But another thing is, what are the amenities that are here in Brockton that we can champion, and what's lacking, right? And we need to continue to figure that process out.
Okay. And now we need you to put on your chairmanship of the school board.
Yes.
Okay. Since at the height nearly a decade ago, Brockton was closing the achievement gap and having an education system envied throughout the country in other cities. But the report came out that there has been a decline. And this went from 10 years ending in 2018, so it was a little before you came in. But still, 10% of the, 10 of the 21 schools did not pass the standardized testing. What are some of the things that you as mayor, and you, if you win, you will be chairman again, changing that to bring these schools up to speed?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a product of the Brockton Public Schools. I graduated from Brockton High. I went to West Junior High. I went to a school called Whitman Elementary School. It's closed. It's on Manamon Street. I walked to school, first grade through sixth grade. As mayor, you chair the school committee. We have 7 great dedicated elected officials in the school committee. Mike Thomas, he was class 87 at Brockton High. I've known him for a long time. He's the superintendent of schools. It's a fact. DESE came back with a really a report that hit home. And as a Brocktonian, we read it and we addressed it. And Commissioner Riley and Brockton Public Schools have entered into an MOU, right? A memorandum of understanding. We also brought back Dr. Susan Zakowitz. Everybody knows Dr. Zak, right? She used to be the principal at Brockton High. She retired, moved to Florida. She came back for the next year. She is the deputy superintendent right now for Brockton, and we need that. But another thing, Ed, we have to remember that the boys and girls, and I have 3 kids of my own, right? 2 of them in the Brockton Public Schools. They were damaged because of COVID. They were not in a normal setting. They missed out on a lot, but they were remote. So what did? We bought $6 million worth of laptops, right? Got reimbursed under the CARES Act. I submitted it. I got it back.
And that goes through the county.
Yeah,
right?
We went through the county. We got $6 million back, but every kid now, we're a 1-to-1 school district. I also want to thank the state delegation, the 3 reps in the Senate. I've worked diligently with them because the Student Opportunity Act finally came through, right? There was lawsuits, Webby case, McDuffie case, Hancock case. Kids from Brockton saying, hey, Brockton's getting shortchanged every year compared to the wealthy communities in Massachusetts. $22 million finally came in it, so we've been able to hire people. But really what we're doing right now is we're doing a deep dive, school by school, principal by principal, and this is Dr. Zak's really charge right now. She's working on that. We do analysis. We had a 4-hour school committee meeting the other night. We need to make sure, Ed, that every kid in Brockton gets an exceptional education. And, it's going to take time, and we're rolling up our sleeves to get the job done. And if I am fortunate enough, and I hope to be, and I'm humbly asking all of you out there to consider voting me on November 2nd, but being a mayor is an awesome job, but being a chairperson of the school committee is just as awesome. We have to have a shared vision for a better Brockton Public Schools, and with Mike Thomas and his team, and on the school side and city side working together, we can achieve that, and we will achieve that.
Okay. Now, a great deal of focus has been revitalizing the city center.
Yep.
What can we do to expand that idea and revitalize areas like the South Side, which I call the Mojave Desert of business and people because it's just not used? The Westgate Mall and the East Side are other areas that could use the same revitalization. What ideas would you have for your next term to start spreading that out?
Yeah, it's ideas that I've already put in this term. I've been meeting with developers. I just met with Mr. Montilio, George Montilio, yesterday, who's got Montilio's Bakery, up right near the Montello train station. So yeah, the core of the city, downtown Brockton, is the catalyst, right? And we have a lot of people coming in, young professionals, because rent in Brockton is cheaper than Braintree and Quincy and Southie and Dorchester and Charlestown. They're coming to Brockton. We welcome them. A lot of them are taking the train going into Boston. But the downtown is just one area. So we need to go to East Side. We need to go to West Side. Kmart Plaza, that's a great example. A developer from Manhattan met in my office. It was supposed to be an hour meeting. It lasted 3 hours. He has a plan in place right now to revitalize that area. And we're being an advocate for that. It makes sense. I'm working with Susan Nicastro down there in Campello for a development right now. I'm working with Jeff Thompson over near the Massasoit area, right? And all the state reps, State Rep Dubois. So my vision right now is to make sure that Brockton flourishes throughout. You talked about the Westgate Mall. We've seen some great things. I had a guy come in recently to Brockton from Nashville, Tennessee. You know what he said to me, Ed? He was staying at the Holiday Inn. He said to me, "You have a Chick-fil-A and a Starbucks?" I can't believe that. I never thought Brockton would have that. Little things make a difference. Perception's reality. But really, my vision right now is because I have an MBA, because I have a law degree, I'm going to harness that with skilled people around us and focus on it.
Okay, and the last question, just a quick question. Everybody was talking about having a new public safety complex. Where is that standing as of today?
Yeah,
and will we see it?
It's awesome. It's awesome. So the City Council, thank you, City Councilors, we approved it. $98 million bond authorization. So we've been able to take 2 buildings, friendly takings that we paid to buy houses on Highland Street. It's going to be a city block from Highland Street to West Elm Street, where the old high school was. The biggest thing that I said when we did the public hearing and public meeting was that we're not going to move the students and staff from the Keith Center until we find a better place for them. We found that place. We're working through it right now. It's going to happen. Remember, it's not just police, it's not just fire, it's IT and it's BEMA. So it's really going to be a showcase and clean up that whole area. It's going to be awesome.
Well, thank you for coming down today. That's all the time we have. But I'd like to give you a couple of quick minutes so you can talk to your constituents again and say this is the reason why I vote for Bob Sullivan.
Thank you again, Ed. So again, I'm Mayor Robert Sullivan, and I'm asking, first of all, for you to consider going to the polls on November 2nd. They open 7 a.m., they close at 8 p.m. at the polling locations here in the city of Brockton. I am running for mayor again to be your voice at City Hall, to be your cheerleader here in the city, to attract businesses, make sure we have a safe community. And again, it's a daunting task, and I'm running for you. I want to continue to work with you, to work for you. So again, on November 2nd, I ask you please to consider voting Robert Sullivan to re-elect me as mayor of the City of Champions. It's our city, it's our community. Let's continue to work together.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for coming down and sharing your views. My name is Ed Miller. And I'd just like to thank everybody who's come down for their interviews. But remember, November 2nd is Election Day, and that's the important. That's when we have the right. It's not a privilege, it's a right to go down and choose who is going to run our city. So everybody, remember that day. Please take the time. We have plenty of polls, so you don't have to worry about long lines, and get out and vote. Thank you, and have a great day.
Hello, and welcome to the Brockton Candidates Forum 2021. I'm Susanna Sudborough from the Brockton Enterprise, and I'll be your host today. And we're pleased to have in studio candidate for mayor and current city council at large, Tina Cardozo. So thank you so much for coming in, Tina. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think you'd be a great choice for mayor?
Well, thank you for interviewing me, Susanna, and thank you for BCA for hosting the forum. I'm happy to be here with you today. So my name is Tina Cardozo, and I am a mom. I'm a registered nurse for 25 years, a nonprofit leader, a community activist, and like you said, city councilor at large, serving the first term in Brockton. So I think I'd make a good mayor because I'm well embedded in the community. I know this community well. I've raised 3 beautiful children here who have all graduated from Brockton High and gone on to higher education. I started a nonprofit here. We work on violence prevention in the city, youth empowerment, and domestic violence programs. So well connected to many of the other nonprofits and a lot of the other community leaders and activists. So I have a really good, very grounded in the community and a good sense of community here and good relationships. On the council, I've advocated for more transparency in the funding sources that come in for different programs. In funding in general, I voted against increase in property taxes and an increase in water bill for our residents. So really fighting to make sure that our residents are not getting, slammed with taxes, and that we're trying to generate new revenue to make sure that we're not burdening our taxpayers. So I think I have like a well-rounded approach to how I will govern the city. Being a registered nurse, I jumped in during a pandemic and was really, on top of things and helping to make sure that our residents stay safe. So all of that experience, I think, makes me a really great candidate.
Great. So for you, what do you think is the most important issue facing the city today?
There are many issues, Susanna, as you know. Brockton has a lot of issues with our infrastructure, our technologies need to be updated, crime, as we know, there's been an uptick in crime. So we really need to do a lot of work around violence prevention. Like I said, that's the work that I do. Our youth, we need to support them more. There are a lot of issues going on in the schools currently with our youth, and I feel we need more youth programs. And on the council, that's one of the things that I've championed, is making sure that we have a strategic plan, how we're going to engage our youth, keep them engaged, provide them with after-school activities, with more jobs, and just really more mental health support, because they just came out of a pandemic where they were home for a year with no structure, and so I think that we really need to support them if we want to prevent crime. So definitely public safety, supporting nonprofits, supporting grassroots organizations, more youth programs. Those are things that I think we really need to focus on, plus the infrastructure, if we want a better Brockton.
Absolutely. So getting into some specific issues that our viewers have brought up to us, small business owners have expressed frustration over the process of getting their projects approved in a timely fashion. Concerns tend to deal with the length of time it takes to get approvals from different boards, different city departments, which in some cases has resulted in businesses just taking their business elsewhere.
Right.
If elected mayor, what would you do to combat this issue?
Well, I've already done some things around this. So I started a health equity task force during the pandemic, and I played a key role in hiring the small business tech person that's helping some of our small businesses to make sure that they have the resources that they need. We all know that a lot of the small businesses weren't structured properly to be able to receive the SBA and the PPP loans. So this tech person, I'm hoping that this role will grow and maybe we'll add on more to support especially minority-owned, female-owned businesses in the community, so that they have access to the funding that's available to them, so that their businesses are structured properly. On top of that, we can provide more educational opportunities for our small businesses so that they can compete and grow jobs. I really think that if we support our small businesses, we can grow jobs, more jobs in the city. So I've already taken steps towards that, and I will continue to do that because I know the importance. And also making sure that we clean up our city by investing in our small businesses in the facade programs and making sure that their businesses look nice and clean outside, so that we can have, a better business, attract more businesses to the city by improving the ones that we have. So we definitely, and as far as like the permitting, I sat on zoning for 2 years, so I know that process can be lengthy and frustrating. So we definitely need to do better educating folks so they're well prepared when they come in front of these boards for different permits, and that will definitely expedite the process.
Okay, absolutely. So currently the mayor is elected every 2 years, but different city leaders have brought up the idea of lengthening that term to 3 or 4 years, presumably to help them get more done and have more consistency in the leadership. So what are your thoughts on lengthening the mayoral term?
Definitely, because I think, and for the councilors at large at least, I think that would apply as well, because once you get in there for the 2 years, it really, you could use a couple more years to really get your projects through. And I think that with the at-large councilors, I would even go as far as saying that they should be more full-time councilors, because I feel like we really don't have enough time to really do our due diligence to really help folks in the community being part-time counselors. It really is a full-time job. So I would be for us having an increase in the terms for the mayor and for the at-large counselors, at least, if we can't do all of them.
Sure.
Because you just need that time to be able to get things done.
Yeah, absolutely. So another issue that Brockton is facing right now is that since its previous height a decade ago, when Brockton was recognized as a leader in closing the achievement gap in schools. Brockton has experienced a continual decline in academic outcomes. According to the most recent data, 10 of its 21 schools is now ranked within the 10 lowest 10% of Massachusetts schools. So if you were to become mayor, you'd be the chair of the Brockton School Committee. So what do you think you could do as mayor to turn this around?
So during my time as a city councilor and with my nonprofit organization, I've worked closely with the superintendent on numerous projects. I was instrumental in getting us North Junior High as a community center so that grassroots organizations had a place to work. And then we are now at the Goddard School, and that was another one of my my advocacy letters to get that school as a community, first to use as a community center. I think, Susanna, there are a lot of issues in the city right now. Our children are suffering. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of mental health and social emotional support that needs to be provided in order for us to see. You have to look at the whole picture, not just what's happening during their time in school, but what's happening outside of school, in the home, and everything that they're going through. And I think having a mayor that knows firsthand what that's like. I raised 3 kids. I was a single mom. I was 16 when I left home. You know, I went to nursing school, I struggled, I've been through poverty, all of that. I know firsthand, and being an immigrant myself, I know about the immigration trauma that's happening here in the city where kids are being sent over without a parent. One parent stays back home, the other one comes over to the US. There's just a lot of issues surrounding why our achievement, you know, that where our schools are performing that the way that they are. And we have to look outside the box. I sat on a panel to hire the equity and inclusion, the diversity, equity, and inclusion director and assistant director that we just hired. And I've worked closely with Mike Thomas, making sure that we're adding more teachers of color and that we're supporting our kids so that they're getting the mental health support that they need. And I will continue to do that because I think that in order for us to tackle what's going on in schools, we have to look at the whole picture and look at what's happening outside of the schools as well.
Okay, absolutely. So another thing that a lot of people have talked about is revitalizing downtown Brockton. But what might be able to do to revitalize not just the downtown, but the whole of Brockton?
Well, I've said this numerous times. I filed a resolution to look at code enforcement in the city. We have abandoned properties, I want to say at least 300 of them, that we need to look into making sure that we have a centralized code enforcement system. So we're collecting fines on those properties and maybe a process by which we sell some of them off so people are renovating them and that we're beautifying the city. We have to improve the image of the city if we want to revitalize anything, and that means really looking at code enforcement to make sure that we're cleaning up some of these abandoned properties or selling them off, in a process to collect fines, a better process to collect fines to generate new revenue. So those are some of the things that I would really look at to make Brockton more attractive and improve our image, and also collect some money to, so we're easing the burden on taxpayers. It would be a great way to collect new revenue and bring more businesses to the city. I'd love to see nicer restaurants. I'd love to see, you know, movie theaters folks have talked about, and, you know, just more little shops in the downtown area for people to go to. So those are things that we can all work towards, but first we have to improve the image of the city, and we have to look at code enforcement in some of these abandoned properties.
Absolutely. So one thing that has been talked about a lot is, you know, with the new public safety complex that's in the process of being put together. What is your approach to public safety?
Well, we talked a little bit about violence prevention, which is key to public safety. So you know that's near and dear to me, and that's the work that I do already. I voted against the public safety complex, not because of the complex itself, but because there was no public input in the actual borrowing of the $198 million. I felt like if we were going to borrow that amount of money, we should have included the public a little more. And only to be painted as anti-police. I'm not anti-police. My brother's a police officer. I'm a nurse. I worked on the front lines with police and fire. throughout the pandemic, and I continue to work with them. So to me, public safety is addressing a lot of the concerns that we talked about early on in our conversation, and having better police-community relations and having police more visible in the community. So that's how I would look at it. I mean, we certainly know that the police officers need a better home, but that doesn't mean that we have to centralize it. We could look at satellite police stations. These are all things that I thought that maybe the public could have weighed in to see if they wanted to have satellite stations like we have in Boston in the 4 areas of the city, as opposed to having them all in one central location. So I wanted more conversation. And again, I stress, I'm not anti-police. I'm not defunding police. That's not who I am. I just wanted more input. I'm all about open, honest government, transparency, accountability, and just having conversations with our residents who are the taxpayers. And, you know, as a counselor, I represent the taxpayers.
Right, right, for sure. So, yeah, we've talked a lot about some of the things that you've done as a city councilor. Are there any other successes from that time that we haven't talked about that you think would be important to mention?
Well, I've done a lot in 2 years.
Yeah.
So definitely the Health Equity Task Force was something that I take credit for. Myself and other community activists and nonprofits, we were key in making sure that we were providing recommendations to the administration as folks who know the city well on where to prioritize resources during a pandemic. So definitely that. The small businesses, everything that I've done to help with the tech support, definitely that. And then different resolutions that I filed on the council to prioritize youth sports, a soccer camp, a youth sports complex, or some things that I've talked about, the community center at the Goddard for sure. So all of my work has been based on my own life experiences, my relationship, my connection to the community, and what I see as a better Brockton for all of us, not just some of us, but you know, the demographics here has changed a lot, and so we have to make sure we're including everybody in the conversation. And education has been key to me. I call it education equity. I borrow that from Julia Mejia in Boston. It's not mine, because she champions education equity. You can't do what you don't know. And we'll have a better Brockton if we have systems in place to educate people in the languages that they speak, read, write. And if they don't read and write, have ways to get information to them, you know, so that they're clear on what is expected for all of us to have better community. And I think it behooves us to do that so that we can all live in community together. So I've championed education equity. Also having more folks at City Hall that speak the different languages in the police department, fire department, everywhere, just more diversity and inclusion so we can have a better Brockton.
Well, that's about all the time we have for now. But thank you so much for coming in and telling us, you know, why you think you'd be a great candidate for mayor. And for everybody watching, thank you so much. And remember to vote on November 2nd.
Thank you very much.